I love that mom never, she's like, vacation is just a change of work. You know, you had your school work, now you have vacation work. And as much as we laugh and joke and it kind of sounds funny, I'm glad I know how to work.
We're back, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're super excited. We have Heather, our sister, the second oldest, just making our way through the siblings. And Heather is the one that lives the farthest away from us. We tried to see if we could get it in person. Things haven't worked out quite yet. So we're like, let's set up a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Which works for me.
Or a different call. It's not on Zoom, but
that is true. We're not on Zoom.
A FaceTime call.
It is kind
video
of
call.
It is kind of funny, how Zoom has become
the name
like the title just for a video call.
Band-Aid. You don't call it. Everything's called Band-Aid, but they're not Band-Aids. That's a name brand.
Interesting. Yeah, I always forget that. Anyway, so we're super excited to have Heather on.
That means I'm next.
That means it's next.
Are we gonna interview me? Just kidding.
We could do interviews with
Michael.
each other. Each sibling. We're excited to have each sibling on. So when like this week thinking about Heather's time to be on, we're like, oh, this will be fun. So just anyway. Heather's the oldest, second oldest, but was the oldest for a brief period of time coming from Dad's first marriage, which is an episode that we've posted. If you haven't had a chance to go and watch that, you can feel free to go watch it to get some background about that whole story. But Heather, I think I've always thought that would be such an interesting experience going from just an only child, first of all, but it's not like you were the oldest because you had other siblings, but you would have been the oldest. And then all of a sudden now you've got other siblings, a new mom. I think that's a good place to start. But yeah, so go ahead and from what you remember, what was that experience like?
Memory.
What?
Excuse me. What is your earliest memory?
Oddly enough, I don't have a ton of memories as a child. I'm really good at blocking things out.
I don't think it's odd. I mean, you were 2 when it happened.
I was 20 months when it happened, and Mom and Dad got married 9 days after I turned 3. So
yeah.
Oh wow.
I was pretty young.
Yeah.
My earliest memory is actually Dad driving me in a car. I don't know what car it was, but I know I was in the front seat because this was a day and age when you could be in the front seat as a little kid, and I was yelling at Dad, tunes.
Nice.
And he turned on the radio and it was Wake Me Up Before You Go. I don't know what the real name of the song is, but that's the chorus. And that has always been one of my favorite songs because that's one of my memories.
Yeah.
And it was dark. It was morning. I think Dad was dropping me off at a babysitter, probably Trudy's, and to be babysat, and it was dark and it was early in the morning and I'm screaming for music.
Nice. Yeah, it's Whams. I think it is called Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Whams. Is that the name?
Yeah,
yeah, Wham.
I was like, why did you just say
Wham
that?
with the H. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's got. Anyway.
It is Wham.
Yeah. So okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize that it was so young because in my mind there would just be like one way of doing things, and then all of a sudden things change. Like you're used to life as just you and Dad, and then now you've got a sister and a mom. But it sounds like you were young enough. I mean, 3. I don't think I have any memories that I could associate. my third year of life.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, there really isn't a lot there. And yeah, it was Dad and I, but Dad and I lived with Grandma and Grandpa.
Okay.
So, and Grandma and Grandpa, I was still involved with Margie's parents, the
Mhm.
Grandma and Grandpa Nelson. And Trudy was Margie's sister who babysat me. So I was still like associating with family, but I know the Woolley side really well because we lived with Grandma. The house that I moved into when I was in my 20s, after college, that's the same home we went to when I was 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
I lived in that house, weirdly enough, almost as long as I lived with you. Like I lived, let's see, 6 years with Grandma. I lived 7.5 years of my life in that house.
Mm.
So
In the Sugar House?
yeah, in the Sugar house. Yeah.
Sugar House.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Love
that's awesome. What was that like living with Grandma after the second time, like when you were in college or after college when you were working up there?
Honestly, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life.
Wow, that's awesome.
Grandma, I got to know my grandparents differently. And when Grandpa passed away, it just became Grandma and I. And we built a relationship. I'm not a watch soap operas kind of person. That's not me. I don't. But Grandma was into it. And she would record it. And then I'd come home from work and she'd be like, "Do you want to watch Young and the Restless?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we'd watch Young and the Restless and we'd watch NCIS and we would watch Dancing with the Stars. We had a connection together.
This was that time where like instant streaming wasn't an option.
No. She had a VHS recorder and recorded Young and the Restless on her VHS.
Really? A VHS, nice.
But the night Grandpa died, everybody went home. And Grandma and I came back. And we actually
Because Grandpa's in the hospital.
Grandpa was dead. Grandpa just died in the hospital.
Okay.
And Grandma and I came home. And it was really interesting. We actually turned on, sorry, this is not the story I wanted to tell. We came home and we turned on NCIS. Because that was the favorite show with Grandpa and us. And we just turned it on and we were watching it. We could have like, at this point we had, what is it used to be called when you had the little machine that you could record things on for the cable?
Yeah, I can't remember. Tebow?
So
something like that. Yeah, I can't.
I can't remember.
So we had that, and so we turned on NCIS and we just sat there almost in the dark, just watching this TV show together, and just quietly mourning the loss of Grandpa. And that was our only quiet time, because the next morning we had everybody showing up for funeral plans, and Doug and Amy came over, and everybody's coming because they have to get all the things taken care of. We had to pick people up from the airport. And it was just a moment of quiet, peaceful understanding of the loss. And we didn't talk. Like Grandma and I just sat together. And it was a really bonding moment. Because I had moved in originally to help Grandpa out. Well, is what they said. It actually was to help me, but Grandpa had been given not very long to live, and he ended up living 4 more years. So we had built a pretty good relationship. So yeah, that's my relationship with my grandma. Is we were just very quietly close, especially after Grandpa died.
Well, you probably had this. Yeah, you moved in after college, but from the beginning of your life, your mom, what we gathered from Dad's story, your mom was around very much, and so you really were raised by grandmas, and I don't know how that split took place, but I would assume because dad was the caregiver at this time, it was easier for him to ask his own mother to
Yeah,
take care
and
of you. And so I like you had grandma and grandpa to yourself for a long time. You started that way where it was like you're their child, and you ended their life that way where you were their child. So I could see you having that special
well, like
connection.
Grandma didn't have any daughters. She only had 2 sons. And so there's a kind of a de facto of she would rely on me a little bit like I was her daughter.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that it comes from the childhood stuff because my grandparents on the Nelson side, they didn't always live down here in not southern Utah. Oh my gosh, in Salt Lake. They actually lived out in a place called Tabiona, and then
No
Sounds like a pudding.
yeah,
it was
tapioca.
out in Duchesne County.
Okay.
Wow, I
And
didn't know there.
so they weren't always there for dad and mom, but Grandma and Grandpa Woolley were
Yeah.
when my mom was dying and things. So yeah, I did have more experience with my Woolley grandparents just because of nearness.
Yeah.
When we say Redondo Avenue, and Dad talks about Redondo Avenue to where Grandma and Grandpa lived, we're talking about less than a mile away. They lived really close by.
Yeah.
They were really actually quite close. So
Redondo Avenue. Well, this is awesome. And I think a cool part of being able to have you on specifically is people get a glimpse of our grandparents as well. Cause I think by far you had the closest relationship with them, being able to live with them for several years. And it's just different than any of us got. Like my memory and experience with Grandma and Grandpa Woolley it's just going up every once in a while. We'd go and see them on a Sunday afternoon, and
For Christmas.
we just hoped that Grandpa had the football games on because we weren't allowed.
Not on Sunday.
Yeah,
At grandma's house,
yeah,
you could
not
watch
on
them on
Sunday.
Sunday.
So we're like, that's gonna be awesome. But you know what I mean? Your experience though is so much deeper and more vast, where you spent years with them, and I'm sure you,
Watch NCIS.
yeah, NCIS, which is that's what Monica and I are watching a little bit right now.
Some depth there.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's cool to get a glimpse of Grandma and Grandpa and who they were. If you could just, we don't have to spend a ton of time on that, but like, what were some of your favorite things about Grandma and Grandpa Woolley?
Grandma always let Grandpa have the remote. Like she was so easygoing about whatever Grandpa wanted on the TV, Grandpa got. But Grandma did not like, she liked people in her kitchen to a point. She really liked doing her things her way. You didn't go in and rearrange her kitchen.
Nice.
But Grandma also really truly cared about everybody who she came in contact with. Grandma wasn't very church active, but in our church she had the responsibility with funerals. Grandma never missed a funeral. She would come home with these tablecloths, these white tablecloths that were covered with mustard stains. And she would soak them and clean them and make sure that they were pristine for the next funeral. And she helped a lady in our church who, well, she was going crazy. She kept thinking her 80-year-old husband was crawling in her windows to steal her toilet paper.
So great.
Okay. But she ended up having her keys taken from her, and Grandma would go over and she would visit with her and she would take care of her and she'd take her shopping and she'd listen to this lady's stories where I'm sitting there thinking, you're a little loony. And Grandma just was like, it's just her. She just kind of she just cared about the individual very, very much. And she loved her grandchildren. Her grandchildren were her greatest joy. She truly loved every one of them. And didn't matter who it was, if you needed something and you came to her about it, she would probably bend over backwards to help you.
Mm,
You didn't see that as much when grandma moved in, but I think that's partly because of age.
Yeah, well,
sure.
I think a lot of it was age. And she had stopped driving at that point. Whereas when you guys came up to visit, like when I was living with her, oh, you guys got the red carpet. She had to go grocery shopping before you guys came. She's like, oh, Mike and the kids are coming. Mike and Debbie and the kids are coming. So we got to go get sherbet and 7-Up and make her famous punch and Cheeto balls.
Yeah.
And
did like her punch.
yeah, she just really, truly loved and cared about everybody. And one of her love languages was actually food. Like she really loved you guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome. I think yeah, so many good things about Grandma Carol. Dee was, I think, it was 2009, right? That he passed away.
yes. No.
2011.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it was 2011 because I lost both my grandfathers that year to the same disease.
Really?
Yeah, both of them had been heavy smokers, and COPD killed both of them in the long run.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize that. In the same year.
Zach, Grandpa died in May. Was it May?
Yeah,
And my grandfather died in end of November, 1st of December.
Wow.
So I lost both grandfathers. That's why if you ever see me, I'm like, I have no love for cigarettes and smoking. I won't criticize you because I know that's your choice and I give you that agency, but I have no love for it because both my grandfathers, I feel like, died pretty young. My grandfather was in his 70s and
Grandpa was 80.
Our grandfather was 83, but my grandfather was 78. So just very young.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Grandpa actually, surprisingly, you didn't see this as much, but Grandpa was a very tender-hearted. He was as tender-hearted as Dad. I actually think Dad gets that from his father.
He did not want us to know that. He had it way better than our dad.
He hid it way better, but if you actually sat down and talked to him, he would give you advice. He would care. He didn't cry like Dad does. Sorry.
Was that a sneeze?
No, I have heartburn cough.
Okay.
I thought it was a cough. I think Google Meets does a good job of muting it out because
he would give you advice. He would care. He would stop everything if you had a question for him. And he was very tender in the way he handled things. He just was gruff around the edges.
Yeah. Very
so.
Yeah, I just remember his vodka. We'd show up and he'd have tall
It's not just vodka, it's vodka tonic. You have to do half vodka, half seltzer water.
Well, I'm like
a straight vodka drinker.
Yeah. But he was funny. And I think Grandma and Grandpa, there's so much, like we could do a whole episode on them, who they were, and
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of siblings on.
Yeah, talk about.
I mean, you'd need all of our memories to actually get a better picture of them.
The crazy, like grandparents, and I think your guys' experience is a little bit different as some of the oldest, or on the older half of the family. But like me, so on then the Nebuchadnezzar side of things, Vern and Maxine, like I never met them. So my only memory or interaction is just stories because Mom is the youngest. And
yeah,
so
our grandparents from our mom.
Yeah.
We don't know her. We don't know them.
Yeah. Well, and Vern was dead before I was born.
Oh, he was? Okay, cool. So
yeah. So I only knew Maxine.
Wow, that's crazy. But
then she's the only one who would have met him.
But she was a year.
She wasn't even a year. She was about 6 months old.
Yes.
So then Grandma and Grandpa Woolley, Dee and Carol, are the ones that, like, when I think about grandparents, I'm like, oh, okay, these are my grandparents. But like, it's crazy to meet people who like grew up with their grandparents and their grandparents like hung out with them, because that was never my experience with Dee and Carol. I feel like by the time I was old enough to even like be able to do some of those things, they were pretty old. They obviously had a lot of grandkids, and so it was just a different, but nonetheless, like I feel like their memory has been preserved very well. Like, we named Johnson's middle name is D. We named him after Grandpa D, because we're just, for whatever reason, we're like, D. I think D was a really awesome dude, and like, I know that my experience was pretty limited with him when we were both on Earth together, but
Yeah.
but nonetheless,
We're hoping to have
yeah,
more
it's
experiences
great.
after.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, when you talk about how old Dee was born in 1927. I mean, Carol was born in 1927. So that's a long time by the time you were born. And Vern, I believe, was born in 1917.
Yeah.
So your mom's dad was born in 1917. He
So old.
Yeah.
he'd be 110 years old now. That's how old mom's dad would be. So yeah, it's a different lifestyle for you because your grandparents were old.
Yeah.
My grandmother just died in December at 92, and she was born in 1933.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Early 1900s. I go ahead. Did
No,
you have
go.
something?
I was gonna switch gears a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
that's
Go ahead.
to switch gears. I want to go back to some of your earlier memories of bringing two families together.
Yeah.
Do you remember having a sister come on board, a new mom? I know you were still really young, but I want you to talk a little bit about that, of going from oldest to second oldest. And I know it's still young, but
Yeah, it really is young. I don't really remember anything without Mom and Angie in my life.
Hmm.
I don't remember anything without Lacey in my life, to be honest. I can remember when Michael wasn't there,
Okay.
but most of my memories, I had two very talented sisters, one ahead of me and one behind me. And
yeah.
most of my memories revolve around us remodeling the house when we first moved in, because it was a work of art to become an artwork.
Definitely a money pit fixer
A
upper.
lot of money.
So I know you were really young on that. So talk a little bit about your role as just second oldest then. How did that shape you? How did that impact your relationships with your siblings?
So one of the things that I had a lot with being a second child, I really had to find my own niche. This is not a knock to you or Angie in any way. You guys were super talented. Okay. You were in choirs, you were popular, and
We were.
compared to me. I mean, really. And that was my perspective. Now, whether you feel that way, that's your perspective.
No, I'll give it to you. Thank you.
But I had to find my niche. Where did I fit in? Because I am severely tone deaf. Nobody wants me in a choir. And as I've gotten older, I've realized I don't want to be in a choir.
But you
sing.
You did, because you sing more than any of us.
Yes, but I don't want anybody to know how bad I sing anymore, because I've had a few choir teachers. I've actually had a few experiences where I'm like, yep, we're done. We're quitting that.
So after 40 years, you've realized.
No, this is actually I started doing this about 2017. The choir director came over to our house and he was hearing me sing, and he'd been pestering me to come join. And I walked out and I said, now you know how to sing. Do I get a pass from having to join the choir? And he said, yes, I will. You get a pass. So, so I had to kind of find my niche. And I didn't always connect with Mom in because we don't have similar personalities in that things that you associate with mom. Oh yeah, I do that with mom. We do that. I didn't have any of that. There was no like, it was learned. Everything was a learned personality, not a not
Inherited.
inherited. That's the word I'm looking for. So I had to learn a lot of that. But so one of the things that became my niche is, well, I was kind of dad's sidekick. He didn't have a son for till I was 6 years old. Okay. And by the time Michael was old enough to even help dad, I was 12.
Yeah.
When Michael turned 12, I'm 18. I mean, I'd helped dad a lot. And I enjoyed it. I don't enjoy cleaning in the house. I clean because I hate the dirty, but I don't enjoy it. But when I was a kid, tell me to muck out the ashes when we were remodeling the old fireplace, great. Tell me to tie up the trees, great. Actually, the maddest I ever got at dad, and I've told him this, so he knows. We had a family that was staying with us, and he thought he was being nice, and he asked them to help him out on the roof, on roofing something, and he didn't ask me.
Oh, no.
He asked the boys, and I found out later he did it because he thought I wanted to be with the girls. And I was like, no, that's my job. I'm your sidekick. I'm your worker.
That's funny.
So-
We've actually talked about that before in one of the episodes, how Angie kind of took after mom, like the domestic chores, cleaning the house and cooking and stuff like that. We're like, and Heather totally took after dad, doing the dirty jobs. Like if there was a
The
dirty
yard
job
work.
to be done,
The old cellar.
Heather was the one that
And
would be down
speaking
to do
from a sibling right under you, I was really grateful. I was grateful that like if there was a yucky job to be done, we were like, just have dad needs to be done and Heather will volunteer. We wouldn't even have to like say, Heather, it's a dirty job, go get it done. Like we just had to know it came from dad, and then we would go do the job. So, and I personally was like, this is great. I'll stay inside with Angie and clean the house, and Heather can go do all the dirt work with dad outside. So I was grateful that I don't know if you just wanted to be by dad's side or you had something to prove that you were strong and tough. I don't know, but
a little of both. But
I
I'm a bit of an introvert more than I seem. I laugh with my friends that by the time when I had to get punished as a kid, if I got grounded to my room, I was really happy because that's where I wanted to be in the first place, was left alone.
Nice.
But if you gave me a punishment like kneel in the corner, a good swift swat on the bum, I learned it really quick because I didn't like that. But you put me in my room, yes, please.
I do remember seeing you in the corner a lot, actually. Like I felt like Angie would get grounded and she was always working it off with like trying to get the house clean. She'd make a deal to get out of the grounding. But I just always remember seeing you in the corner. And it wasn't like, what a weird punishment. Because it was like, we obviously had these like weird angles in our house and a lot of corners.
A lot of corners.
Like I don't even have a corner in my house to send a child to, but like we had these corners and you would have to go and kneel and you'd have to keep your nose like
in the corner.
It wasn't like just like kneel in the corner. And I remember like you'd start to slump down and mom would be like, nose. And you'd have to put your nose right back in the corner. And I was like, she's in there a lot. Now that you're saying that, we're in there a lot.
We've actually started using the corner in the nose. I think that's a really good one to use, like a good discipline thing. And we don't have as many corners, same in our house, but as soon as it came up one time, I'm like, where's the corner? We need a corner because in our house, the old house, we had where the stairs go up.
Yeah.
The corner where the stairs go up, and then the family room, they're like 90-degree angle, and then we had this little other corner that jutted out of it. So we had two perfect corners. You could put two kids in
Yeah.
the corner.
And I do
And it worked out
remember
right.
there must have been, I don't know what the incident was, but obviously there's a lot of kids in the house. And so sometimes things would arise. And I think it was between me and Heather.
Probably.
Like I've had our tips quite a bit, but there was more kids involved, and Mom was like, I think there was like 3 or 4 of us. I had to take a corner, and we were all in that kitchen area, kneeling there, like
Yeah, we just stick our nose in a corner.
because like here she had all of these backsides all facing her in the kitchen because we were all sent to corners because we weren't behaving.
But I think it's a very good discipline. If people are looking for discipline ideas, listening,
Yeah, nose in
try
the
the
corner.
corner in the nose. Or
And
Well, and here's the thing.
on the kneeling.
Kneeling on the tile floor.
And you're exactly right with the slouching. That, like when Mo,
Stand up.
you like,
you
yeah,
Nose.
you couldn't slouch because you get tired. You're like sitting down.
Yeah. Well, and here's something else to kind of explain how like I really wasn't grounded. This is a perfect example. I was a teenager and I was working, and Mom, I would leave stuff out and Mom would take our stuff, and then you had to tickle feet or something. Well, I'd gotten to the point I had 20 hours of tickling feet. Okay, because it would grow. If you didn't pay it off in the week, it would grow exponentially. I got up to 20 hours. And Mom was like, Heather, you are grounded till you pay off this 20 hours. I'm not going to put any more hours because obviously you're not going to pay it off. So you're grounded until then. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, she came back and said, okay, Heather, because I was still going to work. I was still going to school. But I'd come home and I was grounded.
My social life has been taken.
And so I didn't pay it back. So finally Mom said, Heather, you need to physically pay me for your stuff back because grounding wasn't working. I got what I wanted. Being just, I didn't care to have, I was not a social bug.
That is funny.
And so it just, no, grounding was not the way to take care of me.
Nice.
So,
We
I ended up paying Mom, I think $21 in the end to get my stuff back. And I actually enjoy rubbing feet and massage, that kind of stuff never has bugged me, but it just 20 hours wasn't going to happen.
Hours.
there's a lot of hours. I think we brought up mom's discipline in the past, and I think when we've told her like, oh, this came up, she's like, oh my gosh, like she's kind of embarrassed about it or self-conscious.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like number one, I think Mom's balance and level of discipline was awesome, and I think it did us a lot of good. And especially later on, like when I was in grad school and I was working with this guy who was working with some really tough situations, like teens or young adults that had come from tough situations. And he talked a lot about parenting and how parenting has a huge effect on it, namely the lack of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden my eyes were open. I was like, oh my gosh, like what a blessing for us. Like obviously, yes, in the moment, sitting with your nose in the corner or getting grounded, you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But looking back now, I'm like, man, I am so grateful for a mother and parents who were willing to discipline hard enough to get the message across and really help us navigate to become good people, because I think we're just
disciplined people.
Yeah, and I think that's a
Yes.
really good quality, and a lot of good things come from it. And the bottom line is that we're all just human, and we have this fallen part of who we are that if we're not disciplined, if we don't make intentional effort to do those things, we just kind of flounder, and it doesn't really end well for us.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a part of the discipline you're forgetting that Mom and Dad did. Yes, there was the punishment part. But when the punishment was over, Mom and Dad would sit you down and tell you how much they loved you. And they'd explain, and before you got the discipline, you got to explain why you got it. And when you were done with it, you got explained how much they loved you and that they cared enough, and that you went away with a hug. You went away with, just absolute love, that it wasn't, we were not disciplining you because we enjoy it, or we're not disciplining you because we just have to. We're disciplining you because we love you. And I think that's something that's missing in a lot of the things when we talk about like punishments and things, is mom and dad were very good about afterwards telling you, I love you. And they really, like, I never got a punishment that I did not know why. I knew exactly why I got every punishment I did. That was not, I got a discussion first, then I got the punishment, and then I got the love. And I think that's something that misses in our disciplining with people that are like, oh, I don't want to discipline my kids. I knew my parents loved me every time. And not that mom and dad were never, like, they always told us they loved us. But in those moments when I could have been my rebellious self of, well, how dare you stick me in the corner, and dig my heels in, because I really am good at that. Mom and dad will pull you aside and just say, we love you. We care. We so love you.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, speak a little bit about being, I know you talked about like being sandwiched between Angie and I, but how was it being the second oldest with the rest of the family? Particularly, I actually kind of want to know, because you mentioned how your personality, like your interactions with mom were a learned behavior.
Yes.
It was inherited because very different. Well, she's not your mom.
I have no
not biologically connected there, but you have 9 of us now that are biologically connected. She's the mom. So that means like it was different with dad a little bit, just because dad was gone. He was at work. So
Yeah.
our interactions with dad were not as prevalent as our interactions with mom. So now you have this mother that is raising you.
Yeah.
You're one of 10, but 9 of us, like, we take after mom quite a bit. Like we're all
You're very mom heavy.
So how was that for you? How did you cope with that? And just talk to your experience a little bit of how that was. Did you feel kind of like an odd duckling sometimes?
Oh yeah. I definitely felt an odd duckling. Because I don't think anybody in our family is an introvert. I think
I consider myself
an introvert. You're an introvert, but you're extra. You don't.
We're both.
You're extroverts. Everybody in our family is an extrovert. It's how we get our energy that makes it. I'm more introverted.
Sure.
Angie talked about being mom a lot, like help, the motherly thing.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I felt like I was the one-on-one in that time period, particularly. If one kid needed attention, I could do the one-on-one. And I've always been really good. I feel, maybe you guys will contradict, but that's okay if you do. I feel like I do better one-on-one. If a kid was crying, I could do it. I actually developed a great talent. And some people say it's because I'm a little chubbier, and I actually disagree with them, because I can put any baby to sleep.
Nice.
I did not know where you were going with that. Okay.
I know. But like, we were at a family Thanksgiving, we were there, and I was holding one of John's kids. And they were like, oh, I don't think they'll go to sleep. And I had that baby asleep in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm just a calming influence on that end. I feel like it's just that I whereas Angie was like, oh yeah, go play, do this, do that. If you were having a bad day, I just sit with you. I didn't really need to talk. We didn't need to be best friends.
You could watch NCIS with them.
Yeah, that's what your grandma just
Yeah.
NCIS with them.
I'm okay just sitting with people.
Mhm.
And I feel like that kind of was developed with each of my siblings. Like my relationship isn't the let's go run and play in sports and all of that. I'm not athletic. That did not get passed down to me on two parents that were athletic. It didn't come to me. I didn't get I got the bookworm side.
Well, for years.
Yeah, you did play softball.
That's a
I did
standard.
play softball. I was a little athletic, but I'm not fast. I'm not speedy. I'm the person when we play dare base that walks the edge and gets to the other side and nobody notices me because I'm moving so slow. Kind of comes in handy. And I purposely go slow in those games. But so I think I developed just a different relationship because I'm one-on-one. I really enjoy the one-on-ones or small groups. I was not the one who I was not the entertainer. Although I could be entertaining when we watch scary movies. Didn't like those very much.
That is, and I think it's cool because we talked about that almost that same thing in Dad's episode when we talked about mourn with those that mourn, how we overthink being there for people, and sometimes it's just a matter of sitting with them and letting them you're there for them.
And
Well,
that's, like I love that you're saying that because like most of the time we don't have conversations with our siblings and saying like, tell me what you think you're good at. Tell me where your strong points are. So I love having these interviews of some kind to like actually get what your thoughts are. And I do notice you holding the babies, and there's a lot of babies in this family, and
they fall asleep pretty easy with me.
And they fall asleep, and I have never chalked it up to chubbiness either. So but I love that you feel that about yourself. And I also love that you said that you can sit and be there with people, because like now looking back at my own life, and like you are good at that. You do show up. I do know like if I've had that hard time or if I need to vent or even like I think there was one time where I was pregnant, I was due, the baby wasn't coming, I was done. I wanted to be done, and I was just having a miserable day, and the baby still wasn't coming, and you came over and you just rubbed my feet, and we just sat and talked for hours, and you just sat there rubbing my feet and talking to me, and it was like it just like drained all of the frustration I was feeling. And there's been multiple times where you've just been able to come and sit and be. And I don't think I've ever put the two and two together of that being a strong suit of yours. I was just like, oh, this happened. And it happened in the moment. But now, like looking back, I'm like, no, I have real gratitude that it was a talent of yours and that you offered that talent to me on all of those times. And I didn't recognize it for the talent it was until now. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I concur and validate. Yes, it is yours. I've seen you use it with many, many siblings.
Yeah, and I think that developed with, being the second oldest. Angie was Angie's Angie. I love Angie. She's great. But
she was
when Angie's
big groups of people,
when she's running 9 kids, around her,
yeah,
the quiet ones, like I remember one of my favorite things when I would babysit is I put you guys to bed, and I always had the baby with me, and particularly Carolee is the one I remember the most because I was an older teenager. But we'd sit in that big green back chair and she'd just fall asleep, and we'd just sit there for probably an hour or more before Mom and Dad got home. Both of us just falling asleep in the chair. And it was quiet. It was not, we didn't need to be loud. It was just, we're just here. And I'm not a quiet person. I'm a little louder than I used to be because grandma was deaf and I learned to speak loud. And that's a trait I haven't been able to unlearn.
But
fun.
I have a memory of you. Like Angie definitely was fun, and Angie could stay organized and keep us all together.
Yes.
She was good with like multiple kids, keeping it all organized. But I do, I don't know why this was one of our favorite games playing, but we loved playing Orphanage.
Oh yes.
That
Oh
or
yes.
Pioneers Trekking, and
Yes.
live in the wilderness. And we'd always make you Miss Hannigan.
Yep. I was
Or-
Miss Hannigan.
Mom, because you would be so strict at us and like, get to bed, and you this meanie, and we were like, oh, she's coming after us. I don't know why. We just thought that was the funnest game. But again, they weren't like the run around sports or
No.
was the like you happened to be the meanie, and I don't know why we've always picked you to be the meanie in the game, but
And you know what? Because I was good at it. That's why.
Pioneer Trekking in the Wilderness, it was very much like, oh good, Heather will pull the cart.
Heather will pull the cart. Heather will take care of it.
She'll load up all the wagons and she'll pull the wagons as we walk down the block.
Well, and it makes me laugh because you're bringing up kind of a thought in my head of a time period. So I'm not good at, like, when it comes to organizing people, not my talent. That's not me. But Mom and Dad used to have that cellar in their basement, and with all the food storage, and we'd go down, and I remember coming home from college, and I think it was David. Mom had sent him down for green beans, and I hadn't lived there. This was like my third or fourth year of college, so I had not lived at home for a while. And David comes up and he's like, I can't find it. And I said, David, if you go down, it's in this room on this shelf, go to this, I walked him right to where it was.
Nice.
And I can visually remember where things were. That is just something I've always been able to do. I know if it's put somewhere, I know where it's put, like food storage when it's organized. And I just remember everybody looking at me like, how do you know? You haven't even lived at home for 2 years. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just Mom's always put it in that spot. So I know where it is. And I could walk down. Mom would send me when I came home from college, go down and get this, Heather. And I'd walk down and I'd come back up and everybody's like, how do you know where it is? And I'm like, where it is.
I have to agree, you always knew. But I think, moment of truth, I think we embellished our praise of like, how do you know? Because
Probably.
the cellar, you had to go outside and go like open these doors.
Metal doors that got very hot.
That got really hot, and they were like
They were
slanted
dangerous.
doors.
The metal's like
That's
coming
right.
off, and
You
you
could
could cut yourself.
And then you had to walk down into the cellar that's like only 6 feet tall, and it was full of black widows. None of us liked it. And so when we were like, we don't know where it's at, we don't know, no. Sorry.
You're okay.
Just I think we played our stupidity up a little bit, because then we're like,
Probably,
Heather
100%.
always knows. Like send Heather, she'll do
It's
it.
like the girl that is flirting with the guy, like, how do you do this? I don't know.
she
how
said
to do
today,
it."
Oh, and I
Oh,
knew
you
you
know
were
that
Let me show you.
we knew that you would always do it, and we knew that you know where. And so when you'd come back, we're like, oh, see, she's amazing. She should always do the cellar work.
I knew you were doing it that time. The one I'm referencing is when it was actually in the house, like we built the addition on.
Oh, nice.
And so
That didn't happen until my senior year of high school. So my whole life, I had to go outside, rain or storm, and go through those metal doors on the outside.
I'm not a Gen X kid, but I'm definitely a Zennial, because I remember sliding down those hot metal doors.
Yeah.
And
till the edges started to curve up.
Then you're like, oh, I can't do that anymore. That's gonna hurt.
What? So bad just
Give
thinking
you
about it,
another
like,
crack.
Oh, Johnny, were you there for the time when we had the paneling on the stairs? Were you old enough to remember the paneling that had the nails that kept coming out going up the stairs?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound familiar.
No.
Yeah, we would run and we'd jump down the stairs, and if you didn't hit your hands right, you hit the nail that went up your palm. Yeah,
It was a fixer-upper.
it was a fixer-upper, very big fixer-upper.
You got more of the upper part.
Yeah,
You got more of the upper part.
you didn't get the 3 feet of black soot that had to be shoveled out the windows. And
People are one like a good example or a good analogy to help them get an idea of what the house would be like. If you've ever seen the movie The Money Pit, it's a pretty good description of what the
yes,
house.
by the time we left it, it looked like the great house from that movie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in the end, it turned out pretty dang good.
It was
But
beautiful.
it was. I love that movie when they're like 2 weeks, everything.
Yeah.
2 weeks, especially being in like where I work a lot in construction now. It's like everything's always 2 weeks, or even working with Larry when I worked with him in college, he would always, people would ask, okay, how long is this going to take? 2 weeks. That is just the generic
2 weeks
time that we
means the whole entire summer. We
And
would
so-
go on a family reunion, and that was our only vacation. We'd have a house project we were doing every
And
summer.
we usually finished that about January, and then in April started the sorting of the cellar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember the cellar. My memory of the cellar is one time for Labor Day, we were going to go to Penny's, who is our mom's cousin, and they had horses. I don't know where they lived, but we were going to go ride horses for Labor Day. I think James got sick that morning or the night before, but we didn't go. I was like, great, we'll clean out the cellar instead.
Yes.
Oh no, it was the worst.
That did happen often where we had something remotely fun
It's like
planned.
fun, yeah.
It
we're
got
like, this will be
canceled, and it
awesome.
was like, let's sort a house.
Clean
Let's clean a cellar.
Let's
Let's
try to clean or scrub the floorboards or something.
And
This is not a fair trade.
I just remember Michael sitting on the porch. He's just kind of sitting there, like thinking about life. It looks like he's off in the distance. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, good, just ready to spend my Labor Day in labor. It's been laboring away.
But you know what?
We all know how to clean.
But we know how to work.
We all know how to work. We all know how to work, number one. And number two, I love that mom she's like, vacation is just a change of work. You know, you had your school work, now you have vacation work. And as much as we laugh and joke and it kind of sounds funny, I'm glad I know how to work, because there are people who have no idea how to do things. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I lost all inhibition of fear about feminine products because of sorting the cellar. And when I got to college, there were kids that were like, oh, I gotta hide this. And I'm like, everybody sees it. I don't care. I just plop it on the
reason why
conveyor.
fear is because my mom, with coupons, bought boxes and boxes of feminine products on a good deal one time.
That were neon pink.
And they were stored in the cellar, but when we had to clean it out, everything came out and was planted in the yard, and the yard had no fence, and it was on the corner of a very public, the library was next door. So here's like these boxes and boxes of feminine products with 6 girls in the family.
That she'd repackaged because we'd gone through a box. So
she's like, I got to consolidate, and here's the empty boxes, throw them out. So we had feminine products all over the yard every spring.
Mom is a very good sorter, and I do agree. Like the hard work, I think we forget sometimes in the scriptures where God's like, you're going to this earth now to learn how to live by the sweat of your brow. And we just forget that that's a part of this life, is working, and especially in this day and age, like we got it pretty cushy. And if you don't look for opportunities to grow that skill and that mindset of hard work, you're going to miss out on it. And I think it is it is one of the most valuable things that we can learn and cultivate, but then also what brings us close to God.
Well, and on the flip side, you had mom teaching us, all of this, but dad, when we were remodeling, dad didn't know what he was doing. Okay. He's a teacher, but he said we lived next door to the library, and he's like, he's like, if you know how to read, you can do anything. And dad he would check out books on how to do electrical. He'd check out books on how to, tile or whatever. And he would read it, and then he would be able to do it.
We didn't
And
have
so,
Yeah.
Google,
We had the library next door.
Google and Alexa were not a thing, or Siri. So yeah, but
yeah,
books for dummies.
we still had the card catalog when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So we had that. So we had this like compromise of mom and dad that here's you need your education. Education was very, very important, but learning how to work and how those two coincide together to make you whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
To learn how to work, educate yourself how to work.
Yeah.
So you
That's
learn how to
cool.
work. Yeah. And I think I think more so than learning, I should say, brings us closer to God. I think it's more like we learn about our relationship with God through hard work.
Yeah.
And I think we just really miss out on it if we just pass that up.
Well, God is always working. He's always working for our regard and our behalf. So when you're in motion, when you're working,
The motion.
you feel better about yourself, but you feel better about yourself because you're with God. You're doing something that He's already doing. So you're very like-minded and very I don't know. You're just you're doing the same thing at the same time,
as opposed to being idle, which is like we all know.
Which God is not
Yeah,
idle.
they talk about
so
idle
you're
being
not
the devil's playground. Yeah.
Well, and when our church says study the scriptures, okay, I've never been one that's like, oh, let's take one verse and delve it and cut it all apart and make it all, that to me is way too exhausting. But I would read something and then I'm like, oh, how does that incorporate? So right now we're studying the Old Testament, and they were talking about plant your garden, like how to grow a garden in the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught something and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why. So then I go look at it, and they were like, plant your trees and then don't harvest them for 3 years. Well, that's because you need the time to have the growth and all of that. And so I like that, God teaches you, here's how to do it, and then understand, then you can go and understand why. Ask Him, talk to Him. God will give you answers on all of those kind of things.
But it's very
That's
applicable.
awesome.
Very, very applicable. When I read the scriptures, I read them as if that's really happening.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, well, it's myth or that or whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. If it says it, it is. And that's how I'm taking it.
Nice.
Good outlook.
That is awesome.
Well, what else? Like, any last question you have for her? Any last
No,
question?
I was gonna say like
thought?
anything else. I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping up. Find that you wanted to share. Yeah. What do you got?
So you actually had a couple, because I asked for the questions in advance, because as much as I get nervous when I speak off the cuff, you asked what one of my favorite memories was. Like, what's a good like one of my favorite childhood memories. I'm going to start actually going back to God for a minute. You asked how family has shaped my relationship with God. And being I had a different mom, there are things that happened with my grandparents and mom and dad that I kind of lived a little bit of a dual life, in that I knew that there were things Grandma and Grandpa and Grandpa Nelson would say, that if I told my parents, it would hurt their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And there were things that Mom and Dad would say that if I actually spoke about it, Grandma and Grandpa might get mad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I had to really learn early on. And I did, because I was court ordered to see my grandparents every 6 weeks when I was a child till I was 14. from about 4 or 5 years old till I was 14. And so I learned really quick, like that's hurting mom. And I don't like to hurt people's feelings. That's just something that really I don't like to do. So I learned how to be very careful what to say. So I monitored myself. I risk assessed myself. That's a good word for it. I did risk assessment. Is this going to hurt or not hurt someone?
Okay,
But
wait.
okay, so but when it came to like I couldn't, and even with you guys, even with the siblings, I couldn't come and say, well, Grandpa Nelson think this or that, because I knew it would hurt.
Yeah.
The relationship was not all that positive with my grandparents to you guys. Okay. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't positive. But the one place I always could go is to talk to God.
Hmm.
And I didn't have to censor myself when I spoke to God. And I developed a way of always talking to the Lord. And Johnny, you lived with me for a while, and I don't know if you ever noticed this, but I'll be cooking and I'll just be having a full conversation with the Lord. He doesn't always answer back. I mean, sometimes I get thoughts and things, but I can just tell him anything. And that's my relationship with God. I don't have this like, oh, I got to be formal with God. If I want to talk to him, I talk to him. And I think that came about because I needed a place to just say, hey, I'm tired of holding all of everybody's emotions and tiptoeing all the time. Because heaven forbid I'm going to hurt someone's feelings. And I knew I would. If everything that was always said to me was repeated, I'd hear about it in one way or another. And I just didn't. I got to a point I just stopped. I would tell them surface things. I kept things kind of quiet because it just wasn't worth it. But I could always go to God and tell him, hey, this is hard. I've had enough. I'm so tired of this. I am wearing out. And I knew that after I spoke to him, the power to say, you know what, Heather, you need to give everybody grace. And you need to give yourself some grace. Became part of that. And that's what I did develop with my childhood being the way it was, as a little bit more complicated. I did develop a better relationship with God. And in fact, when I had moments where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to be at church. I just don't want to be around people today. It comes back to me of, Heather, are you doing church because you want to go to church, or are you doing church because God asks this of you? And if it's difficult, are you doing it because it's difficult, or are you doing it because it's a social thing? Are you doing it because God asked you, or is it social? I'll use an example. This last Mother's Day, I had 2 miscarriages this last year. I can't have kids. And Mother's Day came up and I was like, I am not going to church. I don't want to hear about people. I don't want to hear their sad sob stories about how their kids aren't perfect. I don't want to hear people talk about how amazing their mothers are, and then in the background, see mothers who are embarrassed because their kids talked about them. Knowing that's not something I've been blessed with. And so I told Larry, I said, I'm not going to church on Mother's Day. I'm done. I just need a break. And then I talked to the Lord about it because I'm like, Heavenly Father, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just can't do it. I cannot go and put myself through that. And the week of Mother's Day, I had already made the decision. I'm not going. I was set. I was going to go for a moment to take the sacrament, and then I was going to just leave before every Mother's Day thing started happening at church. And I felt the Lord whisper to me, Heather, you talk about doing hard things. When God asks you, will you do these hard things? And you're like, yes, I can do anything hard. You know, and then the thought came to me, but are you going to be strong enough to do this hard thing? Is this hard thing going to make it? Are you going to give up on basically, are you going to give up on this? Or are you willing to do the hard things? You say you'll do it. You teach about it. Are you willing to do it? And I sat there and I thought, Lord, why? Can't I just get a break? And it was like, and the Lord just said, it's up to you, Heather. But you do say you can do hard things. And you'd be willing to do hard things. And you've told me you'd be willing to do hard things. But it's your choice. And I sat down with Larry, I think it was Friday night, and I said, well, I'm going to church on Sunday. And he said, are you sure? And I said, yep. If I'm going to teach and I'm going to preach God's word, if you can do hard things, this is hard. And I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to stand back. And I went to Mother's Day, and it turned out great. It actually was very uplifting for me. Not the whole thing. There were parts that were a little bit like, let's just say I wasn't paying full attention. But I was there. My butt was in the seat, ready to listen, ready to be there. That's not easy. That was extremely hard for me. And I think that's where my relationship with God is he's like, Heather, if I ask you to do something, I know and expect that you'll do it. And that's where my relationship with God has really grown with being in the family and I think that goes back to mom and dad teaching us about discipline and work. When God asks if something of you, he expects it and he wants you to do it for a reason. This was not the easiest Mother's Day ever, but it wasn't the worst either. And I was expecting it to be one of my worst Mother's Days. And just being able to talk to God and have him let me have my little breakdown of I'm not going, I've made a decision, but in his quiet way, because I don't know how you guys get prayer, prayers are answered differently. But for me, when God talks to me, he doesn't say, he's not very gentle in the way of like, well, Heather, kind of, sort of, he's very direct with me. He's like, this is what I need you to do. And that's how I handle things anyways. So he's answering me the way it's best. And so I think that's how my relationship with God developed is it came from a place of feeling like I couldn't truly talk to everybody about all my emotions and feelings and what was going on to now I have full on conversations as I walk around my house and I talk to God like I'm talking to anybody. He's there. I don't expect him to answer all the time because sometimes I'm just saying, hey, Heavenly Father, this is how my day's going. And I just talk to him. Formal prayer is a little harder because I get so distracted. But if you Larry comes home and he's like, Heather, you're talking to yourself. And I'm like, well, no, not really, but yes, it seems that way because I'm cleaning the house as I'm talking to God. So
Awesome.
that's how that developed. Because you had you asked that question for me. You also asked like what advice I would give someone if they were having struggles in their relationship. I would say be patient, slow down, and there are always two sides to a story. There's always more than just your side of the story. And rush decisions and rushing into something because someone thinks you should isn't going to give you the answer. Take your time. If you're not ready and it's not life or death, or, you got to get on the plane because there's a time limit kind of thing, take your time. Take your time to talk to the Lord. Take your time to really analyze and look at things, but be patient and slow down. So
Awesome.
that's the two.
I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you know what I love about you, Heather, is that I love that you have a strong relationship with God and that you needed to build that through the years. But along with that, I love that you've had that outlet to voice whatever you're going through. But on the outside, with all of the relationships and the people around you, as being one of the closest siblings to you in age, you never did complain. So you might have like carried out your complaining and the struggles you had with God, but you really did show us if a hard thing is asked, I'm going to do the hard thing. And you did it with very minimal complaining. And I would say the majority of my life, you were asked to do the hard things. we played stupid to get you to do the hard things, and we knew that you would do them, and you would do them without complaining. And I think that's admirable. I love that about you. Not the part that you do the hard things, but I love that your willingness and and that you're so optimistic during it, that you've definitely shared that and showed that as a sibling, especially as an older sibling. I think it's a great trait, and I think it's an incredible blessing that you've blessed all of your younger siblings with.
Oh, I'm glad you guys see optimism, because I see me more as a pessimist.
Well, you can be a pessimistic all you want with God. He's the best one to be pessimistic.
Yeah, he kind of understands it all.
But when it comes to your human interactions, you were always optimistic around. So I appreciate that about you very, very much.
You do you're good at having a positive attitude. I think I want to, number one, talking about the Mother's Day experience. I mean, that whole experience is so distant for me. Number one, because I'm not a woman, and I know that women think about having children differently than men do.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of distance there, but then also like we have kids, so it's hard to put myself in those shoes. And I just want to say that I'm sorry, like my heart goes out to you. And I know that there's a lot of people that have that experience when that holiday comes around. And I wish that there was more that I could do for individuals like that. And I don't know if there is anything. I think conversations like this are obviously, hopefully you feel supported and it helps. But I think that most importantly, you highlight the greatest part about going through hard things and doing hard things, and that is Christ. That no matter what it is, God is on the other side waiting, that God is the one bringing you through the hard experience and the one that makes it meaningful, so that you can have these challenging experiences in life, but still come out on top.
Well, and there's that old, this is how I've modeled a lot of my life is, the old story where they ask, how close can you get to the edge with the wagon? And people are like, I can get this close, I can get this close. And I've always modeled my life with Christ and with my relationship with God is I'm hugging the wall. Their mom and dad coined the phrase, you hold on tight till your knuckles are white. I don't let go of God. God is not going to be something that I'm going to release. If I have an issue with doctrine or something like that, some people will be like, oh, I have this concern, and they start looking elsewhere. I had a concern was brought up with a family member and extended family member. And I remember going to the Lord and saying, okay, I want to understand this, but I want to understand it so much that my testimony is not going to move from you. And I have spent the last 2-3 years learning all about this doctrine. And that's how I feel with God is we're the white on the rice. There ain't gonna, there's a lot of things that can come with me, but we've been through the thick and the thin. And that's not where I'm going to move away from. There will be other things that'll be given up long before my relationship with Christ ever gets pulled away from each other. Am I perfect? Heavens, no. I make so many mistakes. I mean, I know myself, but I know God, and I know repentance, and I know his love for me, and I know his love for others. And I think one of the things I've learned over the years is you've got to give everybody grace. Everybody is going to be in their own situations, in their own times, and grace. If I judge you based on my beliefs, I am going to fail every single time. But if I give you the grace and say, hey, I don't understand it, because I don't all the time. I don't understand those emotions. But if I give you that grace and am there to just try and be there for the person, the love of God is more important than me being right.
Nice.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much for being with us, Heather. I love your testimony. I love your strength. You've been an incredible older sister for us, and I'm so grateful that you've been a part of this family.
Same. Likewise, and I know we talked a little bit about the black sheep at the beginning or the odd duck. I want to say that I am sorry if I've ever done anything that made you feel.
No, John,
wait. I'm not saying you have to explain it or anything. I know that like people have their own individual experiences, and I'm not even saying it, like claiming one way or the other that like, oh, you weren't the black sheep or whatever. Like, I'm sorry that I'm put you in the black sheep position. I'm just saying, like, for my sake and for us and our relationship, and just to clear the air on anything that could or might possibly be there. Yes.
I ask forgiveness.
Yeah, and that I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I ever did that, and if I ever supported that narrative about who you are in the family.
Honestly, John, I felt like a black sheep just because I didn't have the inherited things. And yes, there was things there, but the truth of the matter is, as an adult, I look back and I go, my life was great. Who I am today and who I am with myself and the love of myself was all built because of experiences from childhood. So I'm so sorry. Let me get a drink. I don't feel like there was this, I don't feel negativity. I know I still keep things kind of private. I'm an open book that has very closed chapters. I will tell you everything you want to know to a point, and then I keep some things behind me.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's
We all
fine.
do.
Yeah, and it's
So when I say black sheep, I don't want anybody feeling bad. I had the best childhood. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have the childhood I had.
well, sure. It wasn't, yeah, and it wasn't like I feel bad, like, oh, I feel bad about this. I just, the Wicked song is
Yeah.
what was playing in my
And
mind.
none of it even matters anymore.
Yeah, just to clear the air. Like I
Oh,
just
well,
ask forgiveness. And if I'm not even saying that there could be something or is there, I don't know what's there, but if it is,
well then great. Okay, I will accept that.
well, you rock. And we really do appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thank you for taking your
And
morning to be with us.
Yeah.
We loved it. This was fun.
oh, it's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
And if you ever want to know what what you guys don't know about me, I can tell you later.
Oh yeah, like one of the questions that we asked.
Yeah, what's something about yourself you think your siblings don't know about you?
oh, we did ask that question.
Yeah.
I have
If you got, if it, well,
Close
I
it out.
have a good one. I have a good one. I got to tell you this because it's hilarious. I don't, as I said, I can put babies to sleep. That's one of my talents. But the other talent is people tell me everything. I don't have to ask. And people tell me things. And if you knew the secrets that people tell me, and I'm not talking just like my family, I'm talking random people down the street. We'll get talking and they will tell me their whole life story. And I'm like, my friend Candace pointed out, she's like, Heather, you know more about what's going on with people than anybody else I know. And I said, the funny thing is I never ask for it. I just have this personality that people just tell me everything. And I love it because it lets me, have empathy and it lets me have kindness. But at the same time, I know way more than people realize because people have I have a divulging face and people will tell me a lot.
Like, how about a sympathetic face?
yeah. I was like, I don't divulge. Then that's
No one wants a divulging face.
makes people divulge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we knew what you meant. Don't worry. We
And
knew.
because I'm a little bit of an introvert, I can talk to anybody. And because I could do that, because I don't have to develop a firm, like serious relationship. But I hear everybody's stories. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That's funny.
I just get a lot of that. So there's your I don't know if you guys knew that about me.
No,
Your
about Heather.
superpower is
My superpower is
divulging superpower.
everybody everybody tells me their secrets and I'm like, and there are sometimes you don't want to hear. You're like, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Why are you telling me? We just met 2 minutes ago.
That's funny.
It's good. It's a good trait.
Well, it's a good note to end on. Happy. We're all smiles now.
Thank you. For
Yeah.
a divulger.
Oh, she's
We
not
should-
the divulger.
We should
is
call you
for a second.
Divergent.
I'm diverted. No, yeah. But yeah, if you guys need to do like any follow-up or anything, just give me a heads up because I know you've done the podcast and you're gonna edit and all of that.
Yeah.
Good.
And when you come up, it would be fun to do one in
A
person.
live one.
All right. Well, let's just close it out real quick.
Okay.
Have
Have fun, guys.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you, whoever tuned in and listened. We appreciate it. I feel like I just did a Star Wars.
Is this live?
You will
Thank you
listen.
for being here.
You will love it. You will share it. You will subscribe.
Subscribe.
You
Are
will
we live?
comment. No, we appreciate you guys. This is our beautiful sister Heather. our
Oh.
second born in chronological years.
I'm
But-
the first, the second, and the third child. I'm the first and the second child.
I'm the
You're
third.
the first, second, and third.
I'm the first, second, and third. You're just first and second.
I'm first and second.
We're so glad you came. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.